Hello, my name is Simon from the Willwriters Association. From this short video, 5 or 6 minutes, you're going to hear about a completely new, high-earning and profitable, simple to market and long-term addition to your activities as a professional will writer. Or even what could become a completely new career path in a highly specialized niche market that is capable of creating a $75,000 per annum business writing wills, plus a further $60,000 per annum business from tax advice, assuming that you're working pretty much full-time on your will writing business. There are certainly plenty of potential clients, prospects to fill those figures. All this is based upon having specialized knowledge of great value to around 1 million families, which is growing year on year on year. Now, what I'm talking about is the direct consequence of a major change in law across the whole of the European Union, other than for 3 opted-out countries, which happen to be Ireland, the UK, and Denmark. Everyone else in Europe has an entirely new wills and probate system. In the Napoleonic world, they say testament, in respect of people who buy property in an EU country and who at some point carry on to live there as their habitual residence and who ultimately die there. Now, this new legislation is designed to make life easier for them, giving them a choice between writing a will disposing of their property where they are now habitually living, either under the law of the country in which they are now living or under their original homeland country, whichever suits them best. But a side effect of this legislation is to turn on its head almost all of the wills ever written by people from one part of Europe, let's say the British Isles, who purchase property in another EU country, let's say France or Spain, but who have no intention of living there and dying there. It is a holiday home, maybe a retirement home for a period of time, following which they'll return to the British Isles, where they will ultimately die. 90, in fact probably 99% of those people thought that they had the whole thing sorted. They thought that they had written the appropriate will for their situation. But the invasion of this new Brussels floor legislation makes those arrangements valid because they conflict with the people who are the target of Brussels 4, which are those who are from one country, who buy property in another country, and then move there to live and die, pretty much as British Isles expats do. As we all know, the big thing about the EU is freedom of movement of people and capital, and that has brought about a great deal of property purchases in countries other than the country where families were born and grew up in or have adopted as their homeland. This new legislation throws a bomb of confusion into everybody that is affected. Literally everyone is confused, from the lawyers down to ordinary folk in the street who are supposed to make sense of all this. The marketplace for the services you can be trained to provide by online video tutorial backed up by a personal tutor using Skype and phone is of those million or more families in the British Isles, meaning the UK and the ROI, the Isle of Man and the Channel Islands, who own a holiday or investment property in the EU, who now require a new special type of British Isles will dealing with their property. This is to replace the local will, i.e. Spain, France, Portugal, etc., that they had been advised in the past to write by the lawyers in those countries. because now the Brussels IV directive makes almost all of those local wills invalid from the 17th of August 2015. Only a few people out of the million or more families in the British Isles who own property in the EU will have got it right, and probably that was more by luck than judgment. However, most of those, if not all, will not have got the local taxation right, and will suffer heavily as a consequence, eye-wateringly. These are the families who need your help, or someone like you, who will advance from their current position as a British Isles will writer and become trained and qualified now so as to deal with the watershed up to and of the 17th of August 2015. This also includes every family from the British Isles who from this point forward buys property in the EU, which is a steady, stable and regular activity and marketplace that isn't about to end anytime soon. Those families can no longer be advised to purchase a local will in the country where they buy the property, and so they must have access to a very specialised level of advice and format of British Isles will. When you are trained in this field, you will be sought out, and you will be able to penetrate several ongoing marketplaces that you can make your own. Neither you nor your clients will see a competitor for miles. The first organisations that will want to work with you are the estate agents in the British Isles who sell properties that are situated in the EU, France, Portugal, Spain, etc., Cyprus, to their own clients here in the British Isles. They will be very happy, if not relieved, to have an EU-qualified will writer and, as you can become, an EU tax advisor on their books that they can pass their clients to solve those succession and taxation issues as part of the service they offer, and not as they have been forced to do in the past, which is to say, well, sort that out when you get over there with a local lawyer. Because there is no point in buying a dream villa or apartment in the sun only to have it taken away from the family following the death of mum and dad because of a failure to understand wills and local taxes. Mum and dad will have expected and wanted that property to roll down to their children, possibly even their grandchildren, and certainly without being sold to pay succession taxes, as inevitably happens right now. However, firstly, there is this large and urgent marketplace of around 1 million families living and working or retired in the British Isles, many of them just up the road from you, who own a property in the EU, and whose testament, written locally where that property was situated, disposing of that treasured asset for their family to enjoy long into the future as they see it, will be invalid as from 17th of August 2015. Your own client base right now will include substantial numbers of owners or the children and even grandchildren of owners who will want to know what to do or what their mum and dad or their grandparents should do. You will be able to help those families resolve their wills issue, and it will be for the final time. The new legislation covering the whole of EU is forever. Using a special format of British Isles will, written by you, as a result of the huge expertise you'll have gained from our Brussels IV training and coaching and hands-on support, you will be able to write wills whether your clients are in the UK or the Republic of Ireland, the Isle of Man or the Channel Isles, by Skype and phone and email and Dropbox, assuming that is that they're not simply up the road from you. The Willwriters Association has an international division. Whilst we are involved and interested in wills in the British Isles, we have for many years been particularly interested in wills for English-speaking people worldwide. we first trained Willwriters outside of the UK, in the Republic of Ireland, and then in Australia in 1989. And since then we have trained Willwriters around the English-speaking world, and we have unequalled experience and expertise. From 2004, we have been working with English-speaking people from the British Isles and Australia, Canada, America, who have purchased property in the Napoleonic Code world of Europe and the EU. It is fascinating. It is complicated, but it is a very rewarding area of will writing, in respect with which we are published authors, and we routinely make people into rare experts. The majority of people purchasing overseas property are in either middle income or higher income brackets, and so they are a good target audience for your will service. What the EU has done by way of its Brussels IV directive, which is now about to be made concrete, it has actually been in place since 2012, but it's only finally replacing those other options on 17.8.15. So this gives you the opportunity to step into our world of English-speaking worldwide will writing in a very easy, positive, and virtually immediately profitable way. What you must now do, however, is act. On this site, you can visit the subscribe page, or you can register. Registering gives you access to parts of the site that are not available to the general public, which you can come back to and monitor from time to time as matters progress. Subscribing from the tab along the top of the page you are on, and every page results in a membership secretary calling you in order to discuss any questions that you have and to tailor-make an arrangement to suit your circumstances and the time you have available and the budget you have available, so that you can become trained and expert and confident in this field right now and be doing business in a matter of weeks, if not days. So there it is. Thank you for your time. I do hope to see you in our training seminars in time to strike whilst the iron is hot, which is now, as August approaches, with the inevitable last-minute publicity in newspapers, on the radio and television, and locally in the EU countries that are affected. Good day to you.